To this day, do not subside debate about whether there are demonic forces in fact, or they are the subject of superstition and psychosis. I think this question still cannot answer not medicine, not science. But despite this, in the history of mankind, there are many recorded cases of possession of people, some of which are difficult to believe. Here are a few such stories. 1. Clara Hermann Selge. In 1906, Clara Hermann Selge was a Christian student at the St. Michael's Mission in KwaZulu-Natal province in South Africa. For reasons unknown, a demon possessed this young, 16-year-old student. Clara Selge began to understand and could speak several languages fluently. She became clairvoyant and read the thoughts of the people around her. The nuns observing Clara repeatedly claimed that she levitated, rising several meters in the air from her bed, making monstrous animal sounds that the human voice simply could not reproduce. Eventually, 2 priests were summoned to perform an exorcism. Selge attempted to strangle one of them with his own epitracheal robe, and over 170 people witnessed the levitation of the possessed student as the priests read scripture. The ritual was performed for 2 days, after which the evil spirits left Clara's tormented body. 2. Anna Eklund. By the time she was just 14 years old, a girl named Anna Eklund from the town of Elling, Iowa, began to show the first signs of demonic possession. The girl was raised by her parents as a devout Catholic, but that did not prevent demons from possessing her body. Anna, on spirit, did not tolerate religious artifacts, became very depraved and spoke aloud about such things, of which at the time was not even worthy to think about. She could not enter the church. In 1912, Anna performed an exorcism rite, which ended quite successfully. But in 1928 she had to seek help from the church again. The girl claimed that the demons had retaken her body. Anna was placed in a convent, where she was constantly monitored by several nuns. Eklund's condition began to deteriorate rapidly. A case is described. When the nuns blessed food before entering her room, Anna sensed this, hissed at the nuns, and threw the plates of food on the floor. Conversely, she devoured unapproved food like a hungry she-wolf. Witnesses claimed that the girl could speak several foreign languages that she did not know before she became obsessed, defied gravity by levitating across the room. She vomited on the priests who tried to approach her. Anna's eyes rolled out of their orbits, and the sufferer's body became so bloated and heavy that the metal bed sagged beneath the possessed. The priests performed 3 complete exorcisms on Anna Eklund, and 23 days after the first rite began, she was finally declared free of demons. 3. The exorcism of Ronald Doe. While some episodes of Anna Eklund's story were used to portray exorcism in the Friedkin horror film, the prototype for the main character in The Exorcist was a boy under the pseudonym Ronald Doe. Throughout the 1940s, a series of exorcism rites were performed on him to exorcise demons. When the boy was 14 years old, his family reported to the local priest that strange things were happening in their home, such as objects moving around the house. Once confronted by a group of monks, the boy showed characteristic signs. He was throwing himself at the priest and speaking in a low guttural voice, which is one of the symptoms of possession. The boy was subjected to the exorcism ritual more than 30 times. It is said that when the rites were over, there was a strong smell of sulfur in the room. 4. Shudia. In 2008, Dr. Richard E. Gallagher, a renowned psychiatrist and professor of clinical psychiatry at New York Medical College, documented the interesting and unique case of a patient with the nickname Julia, who he believed was truly possessed by demons. This is the rarest case in which a scientist and psychiatrist recognizes the possibility of demonic possession, which is considered by ordinary physicians to be either a fraud or a manifestation of a mental disorder. Dr. Gallagher has personally observed Julia levitating in the air, rising above her bed, speaking in many languages, some of which are ancient and have long been forgotten. Talking about the past and future of psychiatric acquaintances she simply could not have known. Here are some excerpts from the psychiatrist's notes. Periodically, in our presence, Julia falls into a kind of trance state, and this is accompanied by unusual phenomena. Out of her mouth comes an obscene stream of curses and threats, taunts and phrases like, "Leave her alone, you idiot, she's ours." Her tone of voice is noticeably different from Julia's real voice. 5. Annalise Michael's story. The 2005 film, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, is based on a true life story by Anneliese Michael and examines the question of whether this demonic possession really was. Born in 1952 in Liebfing, West Germany, Anneliese was raised in a Catholic family. When she was 16, a head injury caused her to develop temporal lobe epilepsy. In 1970, seizures began, during which she began to see devilish beings. Initially, her condition was controlled with medication, but as the number of seizures increased, she was diagnosed with other mental illnesses. In 1973, Anneliese attempted suicide and became disgusted with religious trappings. Anneliese herself claimed that she was possessed and wanted to be cured, but her parents decided that bringing in an exorcist would not solve her problem. Secretly from her parents, she met with 2 priests who organized exorcism rites. In addition, she stopped taking medication for epilepsy. After 10 months and more than 70 sessions, some of which were even recorded, Anneliese passed away. The cause of death was dehydration and starvation, caused by a prolonged denial of food and water. Both the priests, who had organized the rites in secret, and her parents were charged with criminal omission, resulting in death by negligence. 6. David Berkowitz, known as Son of Sam. In 1976, New Yorkers were terrorized by a serial killer known as Son of Sam, or the 44 Killer. For more than a year, police officers and detectives were unable to catch the culprit. 6 people were killed and 7 were seriously wounded in Sam's bloody summer, before cops finally managed to apprehend the maniac. He turned out to be David Berkowitz, who immediately confessed to all the murders, but the criminal claimed that he had not done them of his own free will, but on the orders of Satan himself. Berkowitz said that the devil had possessed the neighbor's dog, which had forced him to commit his horrible atrocities. The maniac was sentenced to 6 life sentences, and in the mid-1990s he changed his confession, claiming that in reality he was a member of a satanic cult, and that he committed the murders as part of a demonic ritual. At this point, the stories of the unexplainable phenomena of people's obsession come to an end. You can leave your opinion in the comments below the video.